And to talk more about this meeting, I'm joined by our International Affairs Editor, Angela Diffley. Angela, let's specifically talk about this meeting. What exactly is it all about?
Well, we heard there Marco Rubio saying very clearly Donald Trump is committed, deeply committed to your success. He said to Viktor Orban, your success is our success. This is all about showing support for Viktor Orban. Nakedly, Donald Trump wants him to win. Viktor Orban, for the first time in 16 years, is facing something of a serious challenge. And his Fidesz party could well lose out in these parliamentary elections on April the 12th. Peter Magyar is likely looking at the polls to win this thing. And so this is an important visit. That said, it can sometimes be counterproductive for outsiders to show their support for a country's leaders. Particularly, this is a nationalist party. By its very nature, a nationalist party wants its own sovereignty, does not like too much interference from the outside. So this thing might not be a very good idea. We will see. But for the United States, they have very much enjoyed having Viktor Orban at the heart of the European Union, pushing back against any measures which might harm the United States, and generally being what is openly called a member of the leader of the awkward squad within the European Union. He is pretty Eurosceptical for a European Union leader, and can be relied upon to stick up for what he believes in, even if it is counter to the rest of the European Union. So he is a threat to European unity on occasions. That pleases Donald Trump, and he pushes back against measures which might harm the United States. Also on the agenda will be the issue of energy. Hungary has an exemption from tariffs. The White House sanctioned countries that were importing Russian oil and gas. Hungary, because of this special relationship with Trump, was given an exemption. It has been receiving Russian oil, and a pipeline, it goes via Ukraine. A pipeline has been damaged, Ukraine says, by the Russians. And Orban says the Ukrainians are delaying repairing it because they're trying to exert pressure on him, because he frequently fails to back any kind of movements against Russia.
Now, after he finishes this visit, Marco Rubio will be heading back to Washington. Are US-European relations still the same as a result of this trip?
It hasn't had an enormous impact, and nobody really expected it to. There was some relief that at least Marco Rubio was polite, not as dismissive, as antagonistic, as rude, as many people found J.D. Vance a year ago. He's much more of a natural diplomat. That said, the messages were much the same. He talked a lot about Europe and the US working together to save Western civilization that was under threat from mass migration. That is not something Europe as a whole recognizes. European leaders do recognize that mass migration has created problems, that they need to do better in dealing with them. But the idea that the entire Western or European civilization is being eroded by immigrants is not something European leaders buy into, and neither do they appreciate being told so from people in the United States who don't always visit Europe or know much about Europe. On NATO, there was a little reassurance in that Rubio said that the United States would always be a continuing presence in Europe. That is something of a reassurance. But, since Davos, and especially since Greenland and the unbelievable to and fro from Donald Trump on Greenland, nothing will ever be the same again, or certainly not for generations. Europe cannot trust the United States, cannot trust Donald Trump, and the Danish Prime Minister made very clear that Donald Trump appears not to have changed his position on Greenland at all. So nothing much has changed.
Angela Diffley, thank you.